Good evening. I'll call to order the SMUD Board of Directors meeting of May 17th, 2018. Please join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. General Counsel, will you please conduct a roll call?
Director Rose. Director Bowie-Thompson.
Present.
Director Shiroma.
Present.
Director Kurth. Director Tamayo.
Here.
Director Slayton. President Fishman.
Here.
Directors Bowie-Thompson, Shiroma, Tamayo, and President Slayton are present. Directors Rose, Kurth, and Slayton are absent.
This meeting of the SMUD Board of Directors will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, on Comcast, Sure West, and Strategic Technologies cable systems. This meeting is also being recorded and will air Sunday, May 20th at 2 p.m. and Monday, May 21st at 9 a.m. on Channel 14, and will be webcast at sacmetrocable.tv. Board meetings are streamed live for customers and other interested parties. Meetings will be archived on SMUD's website for later viewing as well. To view an archived SMUD board meeting, log on to smud.org to find a link to the broadcasts. Please put all your electronic devices in silent mode while we're here in the Rubicon room. Members of the audience who wish to address the board are requested to fill out a speaker identification form provided by the security officer at the kiosk in the lobby. Please hand your speaker form to a security officer. Members may speak to items on the agenda on which the board will take action, and may also address the board on other agenda items and items not on the agenda but within our jurisdiction. During the general comment period, you will have 3 minutes to express your comments. The Rubicon room is equipped with a safety alarm. If the alarm sounds, please leave the room in an orderly manner through the doors on the right side of the room, and do not re-enter the building until you hear the PA all clear announcement from security. This evening's environmental tip is about waste prevention, and Director Bowie-Thompson will provide that for us.
For those that know me, this is not a tip that I typically follow. So as he stated, this evening's environmental tip is about waste prevention. To promote waste reduction, simplify your life as much as possible, and only keep belongings you use on a regular basis. By making an effort to reduce what you own, you will naturally purchase less and create less waste in the future. Doesn't quite work for me, but hopefully other people will follow that tip.
Thank you. Item number 13 has been pulled from the consent calendar. If there are no further corrections, changes, or additions, I will entertain a motion to approve the revised agenda.
So moved.
Move Director Tamayo, second Director Shiroma. Directors, please vote.
The revised agenda is approved with Directors Bowie-Thompson, Shiroma, Tamayo, and President Fishman voting yes, and Directors Rose, Kurth, and Slayton absent.
Thank you. We're going to actually split the General Manager's report into 2 pieces tonight, and we're going to do the first piece now. Frankie McDermott is sitting in for Arlen Orchard this evening, and we've got some plaques to present to 2 employees, correct?
Yes, thank you, President Fishman. This is a pleasure to fill in for Arlen during this nice event. So SMUD receives first patent in more than 20 years. President Fishman will be presenting plaques on the board's behalf to 2 of the 3 SMUD employees responsible for a patent we recently received from the U.S. Patent Office. Deepak Aswani, Bill Boyce, and Nate Toyama developed an improved method for detecting the presence of plug-in electric vehicles based on interval measurements from a whole house electrical meter. Deepak, a senior electrical engineer on our Energy Research and Development Group, and Bill, our electric transportation manager, are here tonight. Wave, guys. SMUD received patent number 9889759 on February 13th after a 4-year patent application and approval process. The development of the patented invention was a collaborative effort between our Energy Research and Development and Load Research departments. Our legal group took the lead in filing for the patent and moving it through the approval process. As the board understands, intellectual property is front and center as utilities innovate to keep pace with massive technology advances. The The patent protection will help SMUD attract a commercial development partner and potentially generate revenue for SMUD from licensing the inventions to other parties. This marks just the third time in our history that SMUD received a patent for an invention. The other patented inventions were an ornamental design for a charcoal test tray canister in 1971 and an integrated circuit design automatic meter apparatus in 1999. So now President Fishman will now make the presentation. So congratulations to Deepak, Bill, and Nate.
I don't have much to add to that other than we're just really very proud of both of you and you're the third cohort who couldn't be with us tonight. It's a great emblematic example of how SMUD's forward thinking and doing doing some really cool stuff, and we're really gratified, really proud. So. All right, thank you again. Moving on, if there are no corrections, changes, or additions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of April 19th, 2018.
So moved.
Second. Move Director Bowie Thompson, second Director Tamayo. Directors, please vote.
The minutes of April 19th are approved with Directors Bowie Thompson, Sharoma, Tamayo, and President Fishman voting yes, and Directors Rose, Kurth, and Slayton absent.
Thank you. And Director Bowie Thompson, Vice Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee, will give the report from the May 1st, 2018 meeting.
Great, thank you. There were 6 discussion items and 6 informational items on this agenda. The first discussion item was a request for the committee to accept the monitoring report for Strategic Direction SD19, Diversified Business. SMUD is in compliance with SD19. This is item number 5 on tonight's consent calendar. The second discussion item requested approval of a contract change with Landis & Gear to extend the expiration date from September 30th, 2018 to December 31st, 2019, and increase the contract amount from $8 million to $9,875,000. This is item number 6 on tonight's consent calendar. The third discussion item requested approval of a contract change with Aon Risk Services West to extend the contract expiration date from September 30th, 2018 to September 30th, 2019, and to increase the contract amount by approximately $1.1 million for a total contract amount not to exceed $3,126,000. This item is number 7 on tonight's consent calendar. The fourth discussion item requested approval of the issuance of SMUD 2018 Series F refunding bonds, authorized distributing the preliminary official statement, and authorize the CEO, general manager, or his designee to execute documents necessary to complete the funding transaction, including the bond purchase agreement. This item is number 14 on tonight's discussion calendar. The fifth discussion item requested the approval of the issuance of $88.7 million of commercial paper to refund the remaining balance of 2016 Series N&O direct purchase bonds, to authorize amendments to existing letter of credit agreements with State Street Bank to accommodate the additional commercial paper, and to extend the term of the agreement, and authorize the CEO and general manager or designee to execute documents necessary to complete the refunding transaction. This is item number 15 on tonight's discussion calendar. The sixth discussion item was to adopt a resolution calling the election for directors of wards 3, 4, 6, and 7, and request that Sacramento County consolidate the election with November 6th, 2018 general election. This is item number 8 on tonight's consent calendar. The first informational item was the first quarter 2018 procurement report. More than 93% of SMUD's contracts awarded in the period were competitively bid, while 22% were awarded to seed vendors, which exceeds the 20% goal. There were no protests in this period. The second informational item was a summary of SMUD's financial results for the 3-month period from March 31st, 2018. Sandra Mormon is here to make that presentation.
Hello. I am here to present the financial highlights through March 2018. Our change in net position, we're actually running over budget by $7 million through March. Our sales to customers slightly under. Our total operating expenses are running under, and our non-operating net expenses were running higher. Sources of our energy, our hydro generation is running under. Our JPA generation was actually on target, but our purchase power is higher as a result of that hydro generation running lower. So the next couple of slides just represent this information and the numbers and a graphical picture. So the numbers are here. As you can see, our total customer sales running a little under there, but total operating expenses are also running under, and then the total non-operating net expenses is running over, and that's mainly due to an award payout that we did. The next page is just a picture of our energy sources and usage. As you can see, our hydro generation is running under, JPA generation right on target. Our net purchase power is over, and our customer usage is slightly under. So that's my report for tonight, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you. The third informational item was an enterprise risk management update. The fourth informational item was a summary of an internal audit report of status of recommendations report for the first quarter of 2018. The fifth informational item was a summary of SMUD's power supply costs through March 31st. The sixth informational item was a summary of committee's direction. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And Director Shiroma, member of the Energy Resources and Customer Services Committee, will give the report from the May 2nd, 2018 meeting.
All right, thank you, President Fishman. Yes, we had one discussion item and two informational items. The discussion item was to adopt a resolution determining that SMUD's Upper American River project area may have a significant risk of catastrophic wildfire resulting from our overhead electric facilities, and that our UARP fire prevention and response plan approved by FERC meets required wildfire mitigation measures. Our mitigation and response measures include vegetation management, pole testing, and line patrols and inspections. We also meet to or exceed all regulatory requirements for fire planning, mitigation, prevention, and response, and that is item 9 on tonight's consent calendar. The first informational item was to look at our substation beautification and transformer RAP programs. In 2017, we collaborated with the American River College Horticulture and Landscape Program for the Substation Landscape Beautification Program. Student design teams developed landscape proposals for several different existing substation sizes and conditions. The students were extremely excited about the project. After assessing which substations would be best suited for the program, we chose 10 for a pilot program. And this year, a substation in Carmichael was the first to have its surrounding landscape beautified. The next step is to complete the pilot, which includes developing standard designs and planting for different substation types, developing a long-term maintenance plan, and of course finalizing cost data. Now for the Transformer RAP program, we had been approached by various parties over the years to allow art to be painted or wrapped on SMUD's ground-mounted transformer boxes. Staff worked with representatives from various cities in our service area and Sacramento County to develop the program, and our expected benefits include greater acceptance of SMUD facilities such as transformer boxes in public and business areas, added visual interest to the transformer boxes in surrounding areas, a greater feeling of local ownership and pride toward individual transformers. And if you go to Tower Theater and Tower Cafe, you see some of these, and decreased graffiti on the transformers. There are currently several projects underway throughout our service area. The second informational item was an update on our Sacramento Shade Tree Program. The committee was given a history of the program and our tremendously successful 28-year partnership with the Sacramento Tree Foundation. We were reminded how wonderful trees are because they bring beauty to our community, improve our environment. They're also an important resource for conserving energy. A well-placed tree can help save on cooling costs by shading buildings from the summer sun, and homes, of course. Among the achievements of this extremely popular program are that close to 600,000 trees have been planted, 16 gigawatt hours of energy savings have been garnered, close to 600 million pounds of carbon has been sequestered, and also the program has received recognition as the largest and most successful program of its kind in the nation. In January 2019, a re-envisioned program will be launched that will add to the already comprehensive program. The additions include offering every SMUD customer their very own best urban forest recommendations for the best trees for their residences or businesses, adding evergreen trees to increase carbon storage, and then testing new tree species that are more resilient to climate change. And that concludes the report.
Thank you very much. And we'll move on to Vice President Tamayo, who is also Vice Chair of the Policy Committee, and we'll give the report from the meeting of May 16th, last night.
Thank you, President Fishman. The Policy Committee met last night, and we were presented with 5 discussion items and 1 informational item. The first discussion item was to accept the monitoring report for Strategic Direction 6, Safety. The report noted that SMUD is committed to becoming a recognized leader in safety. Both SMUD's leadership team and employees recognize that in order to achieve success, we must integrate safety into all that we do. Among the safety metrics and communication that we're using, leading indicators for new programs, use of data analytics for corrective actions, improved document controls for safety standards, and risk assessment criteria for safety programs. This is item number 10 on tonight's consent calendar. The second discussion item was to accept the monitoring report for Strategic Direction 8, Employee Relations. The report stated that SMUD has achieved the goals set forth in SD 8 for ensuring SMUD develops and maintains a high-quality, inclusive workplace that engages and inspires employees to commit to SMUD's purpose, vision, and values. Among the activities done to attract and retain highly qualified workforce, social media efforts that have garnered about 7,000 LinkedIn followers and thousands of others on other social media channels, 105 internships completed, of which 80 were college and 25 were high school students, 21 scholarships awarded, SMUD Career Ambassadors reached 34,000 students. We also had a lower turnover rate than the industry average. In 2017, the SMUD turnover rate was 6.7%, while the industry average in 2017 was 12.1%. This is item number 11 on tonight's consent calendar. The third discussion item was to accept the monitoring report for Strategic Direction 12, Ethics. The report stated that SMUD has achieved the goals set forth in SD 12 for maintaining the public trust and confidence in the integrity and ethical conduct of the board and SMUD employees. Our ethics training includes a requirement that employees receive ethics training every 2 years, training that's refreshed for relevance on a regular schedule. SMUD was 99.9% compliant with required ethics training in 2017, and this is item number 12 on tonight's consent calendar. The fourth discussion item was to authorize the CEO and General Manager to enter a contract with Peninsula Clean Energy to provide community choice aggregation support services. This item has been pulled from the consent calendar. The fifth discussion item was for the board to review Governance Policy 7, Guidelines for Board Member Behavior, and Governance Policy 12, Board Compensation and Benefits. The informational item was a review of the board work plan, and this concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Tamayo. At this time, we give our customers an opportunity to speak to matters on the agenda, and I do have a couple of cards, both from Mr. Graham. Mr. Graham, in answer to your question, you asked to speak on 2 different topics, but both are on the consent calendar, which we consider to be one item. So you have 3 minutes to speak on that one item, and it's your turn.
Thank you, President Fishman, directors, and staff. My name is Mark Graham. I live in Elk Grove. Just briefly on the extension of the contract for Landis & Gear and the increase from $8 million to $9.875 million. Could you please explain what this is for? The district spent something like $80 million on smart meters starting in, I think, 2009. I think the SMUD went with the assumption that these things were going to last for 20 years, even though the industry experts have said that they have a life of 5 to 7 years. I would like to know why the SMUD is still spending money on smart meters. And are they burning out, are they wearing out, or are they becoming obsolete? Please provide. Okay, now, agenda item number 10. You should have received an email from me this afternoon, and this was the accept the monitoring report for SD6 on safety. With all due respect, the board should not accept the monitoring report because it is incomplete. In particular, it fails to mention the health and safety issues experienced by SMUD customers and residents of 20th Street in downtown Sacramento. Basically, SD6 commits SMUD to track and report injuries to the public related to SMUD operations and facilities and to implement measures to protect the public from injuries related to SMUD operations or facilities. The monitoring report, and I included an excerpt from it in the email, says that through the end of 2017, there were 37 reported public or community safety-related incidents. Unfortunately, and then there's a breakdown, but that does not include what's been happening on 20th Street. When it says all injuries to the public that are related to SMUD's operations or facilities, that's very broad, and it should include what's going on 20th Street. I provided to you an 11-point summary of what's been going on, and with any luck, you've received that. If you haven't had a chance to read it, please do so. But basically, last year, a SMUD customer wrote to SMUD saying that she was experiencing health impacts in her house, and she had taken measurements of the electric and magnetic fields in her house, and they were very high. She also hired a certified building biologist to come in and take measurements. His measurements confirmed it. They were in the severe to hazardous range. SMUD actually sent a team of 6 people to this SMUD customer's house with SMUD's own meters to take measurements, and it confirmed the measurements that the SMUD customer and the building biologist had taken. The measurements were very high. There is a 115,000 volt line buried in the ground in front of the house, but then there's a 21,000 volt line that runs outside. It's elevated, and it's roughly at the 2nd story window, close to the bedroom in this house. SMUD, this customer and a number of her neighbors, SMUD told this customer, we won't do anything for you alone, but if you get a letter requesting that we do something signed by lots of your neighbors, then we will. And so she went up and down the street, and she got more than 50 of her neighbors to sign a letter simply saying, this is what's going on in our homes, please do something about it. SMUD still has not done anything. There was even a meeting at the SMUD building with a number of people on SMUD staff whose names are identified in the email that I sent to you, and still SMUD has done nothing. SMUD is very well aware of this issue. It should be in the monitoring report, and without it, the monitoring report is incomplete and should be not accepted today.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. All right, I do have cards from other speakers who wish to speak on items not on the agenda, and we'll get to those a little bit later in the meeting. We are now on to the consent calendar. Item number 4 is to approve board member compensation for service rendered at the request of the board for the period of April 16th, 2018 through May 15th, 2018. Items 5 through 8 were reviewed at the Finance and Audit Committee of May 1st. Item 9 was reviewed at the Energy Resources and Customer Services Committee of May 2nd. Items 10 through 12 were reviewed at the Policy Committee of May 16th. And if there are no corrections, changes, or additions, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second, and then also in seconding the motion, the board packet, which has all the information about the Landis augmentation, has the information about what that money is for. So, okay.
Thank you, Director Shiroma. The motion was made by Director Bowie-Thompson, seconded by Director Shiroma. Directors, please vote.
The consent calendar is approved with Directors Bowie-Thompson, Shiroma, Tamayo, and President Fishman voting yes, and Directors Rose, Kurth, and Slayton absent.
All right, we are moving on to the discussion calendar. Item number 14 is to approve the issuance of the SMUD 2018 Series F Revenue Refunding Bonds, authorize the distribution of the preliminary official statement, and authorize the Chief Executive Officer and General Manager to execute documents necessary to complete the refunding transaction, including the bond purchase agreement. Is there any discussion? Oh, we're going to have a presentation from Noreen.
And thank you. And the purpose of my presentation is after making the presentation at the May 1 Finance Committee where the discussion was had about the refunding transaction, we became aware of a new public disclosure requirement that requires us to submit to the board and the public certain aspects of the costs and parameters of the deal, most of which actually is included in the various materials you get, but not lined out in this specific order. So in the future, for future bond deals, we would expect this to be presented at the committee meeting. But as I said, because we became aware it was a new requirement. So basically, what's required by SB 450 is that the following information be disclosed. There was an exhibit that was included in the materials in the very large package of materials I submitted for you to review in terms of the official statement as well, but there is an exhibit with this information, and basically it's just going over the cost of the transaction itself. So I'll just walk through it, and they do require that we get this information either from the underwriter or a financial advisor, so an outside third party to provide these cost estimates for us, and they have been provided to us by Public Financial Management, which is our financial advisor. So just to go over the numbers, for the 2018 series refunding bonds, the true interest cost is expected at this point to be 2.2547% on the bonds. The cost of issuance, so the fees associated with rating agencies, legal fees and underwriting fees, et cetera, are $702,000. The proceeds from the bonds, when we go and sell the bonds, we expect to take in $190,948,000, and the total payment, meaning the debt service on that loan, will be $215,472,129, estimated today. So two things to point out that I think are important. First of all, this is a refunding transaction, and while the SB 450 didn't call out this information, I think it's important to note that while we will be paying $215 million in debt service over the life of these bonds, this is replacing a bond series that we would have been paying $255 million. So this transaction is saving us $40 million in debt service, but there wasn't any place on the form to include that. So I thought that might be particularly important to point out. The second thing I need to point out is there was a very, not related to SB 450, there was a very minor change made to the resolution that you received today, and that was just actually adding very minor clarification language to the pricing process for the bonds and not changing the intent or the business agreement at all, but just clarifying the process for, you recall, we're going to be terminating some forward-starting interest rate swaps, and there was just some language around that process that we clarified.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Saving $40 million seems like a pretty good deal. With no discussion or questions, I will entertain a motion to approve discussion item number 14.
I'll move it.
Second.
Move Director Shiroma, second Director Tamayo. Directors, please vote.
Thank you.
Discussion item 14 is approved with Directors Bowie Thompson, Shiroma, Tamayo, and President Fishman voting yes, and Directors Rose, Kurth, and Slayton absent.
All right, and item number 15 is to approve the issuance of $88.75 million of commercial paper. No presentation? Okay. To refund the remaining balance of 2016 Series N and O direct purchase bonds, authorize amendments to the existing letter of credit agreement with State Street to accommodate the additional commercial paper and extend the term of the agreement, and authorize the Chief Executive Officer and General Manager to execute documents necessary to complete the refunding transaction. And no presentation on this one, but is there any discussion or questions? No? I will entertain a motion then to approve discussion item 15.
So move.
Move Director Tamayo, second Director Bowie-Thompson. Directors, please vote.
Discussion item 15 is approved with Directors Bowie-Thompson, Sharoma, Tamayo, and President Slayton voting yes, and Directors Rose, Kurth, and Slayton absent.
Okay, and at this time, we do give our customers an opportunity to speak on items not on the agenda on which the board will take no action, and items not on the agenda but within our jurisdiction. I do have some cards for this, and first up is Whitney Lehman.
Sorry about that. This is the second time I'm addressing the SMUD Board of Directors and Mr. Orchard, who's not here this evening, regarding the 21 kilovolt lines and 115 kilovolt lines that run from Substation E south along 20th Street in Midtown. I'm just going to have to raise my voice. As I mentioned at the board meeting in March 2018, there's a major issue of concern to the neighbors on 20th Street between north of C Street to I Street. The residents along this stretch of 20th have been exposed to high magnetic fields and stray voltage, stray current emanating from the 21 kilovolt lines that run from Substation E south along the east side of 20th Street. Last June, I borrowed an MDEX meter from SMUD, which measures magnetic fields in milligauss, and I discovered that the 21,000 volt lines right outside our bedroom window radiated high magnetic fields ranging from about 4 to 10 milligauss in our bedroom, putting us in the 98th percentile of 24-hour average magnetic field exposures nationwide. Magnetic fields of 10 milligauss are about 2 orders of magnitude larger than those found in nearly all other residential areas of Sacramento and other places where I've taken measurements, such as San Francisco and South Bay in the Bay Area. We also had stray voltage and high voltage transients measured in our home. These two are much higher than could be considered safe, about 100 times larger than those cited by NIEHS as the lowest levels initiating carcinogenesis at the cellular level. The experts we hired to take measurements in and around our home informed us that the high EMF stray voltage is due to an old 4-wire distribution system with an inadequate neutral return to the substation. This 21,000 volt line was installed in 1963. It's quite old. In addition, SMUD illegally grounds the constant excess current through the earth rather than returning it to the substation via a neutral wire, as specified by the National Electrical Safety Code, Parts 92D and 215B. As you can imagine, the residents along 20th Street are very concerned. We're concerned for our health and our property values. To make matters worse, SMUD is planning to expand Substation E to pump more current into the Midtown power grid. The Substation E expansion could make the EMF and stray voltage, stray current issues worse on 20th Street unless something's done. Last June, in 2017, 5 SMUD employees visited our home. Mr. Jose Hernandez of SMUD stated that if I could organize the neighbors to petition SMUD to mitigate the power lines, SMUD would have to consider mitigation. I organized a neighborhood meeting. I circulated a petition, which was signed by over 50 SMUD customer owners, as well as the Boulevard Park Neighborhood Association board. I hand-delivered the letters and petitioned to SMUD in November. I heard nothing from SMUD until the end of January 2018. Mr. Patrick Durham contacted me and organized 2 meetings at SMUD, one in February and one in March, to listen to the neighborhood concerns, and then in the second meeting to tell us that there was no harm whatsoever caused by their power lines. Some residents along 20th Street, including myself, believe that the SMUD power lines have caused harmful health effects. During the meeting that myself and my neighbors attended at SMUD on 3/30/18, SMUD employees Larry Pierce, Catherine Mankins, and Daniel Honeyfield told us that based on preliminary modeling, SMUD was unable to substantially reduce the magnetic fields outside of our homes as the neighbors requested.
Your 3 minutes are up.
Okay.
We understand that you're concerned about this. We have your paperwork.
Thank you.
I will look at it and read it, and I will discuss with our management what steps we have already taken
Yes.
and what steps we might take in the future.
Thank you. I will continue to come with the neighbors to keep at you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Graham, you are up again for 3 minutes.
Good evening, directors. My name is Mark Graham. I live in Elk Grove. First thing, before the meeting begins, you should have this fully adjusted and calibrated, because I know you didn't get a good recording of Ms. Lehman's comments because it was going in and out, up and down. You were not prepared. I have asked SMUD multiple times, what is the effective date of Resolution 17-06-09, and I'm asking you again today. This is the resolution that the board adopted in June of last year, which established the so-called time of day rates, which are really time of use rates. I don't know how familiar you are with the resolution, but you voted on it. Resolution is 44 pages long. Attachment B to it is 149 pages long. And the section of Attachment B that deals with 2018 rates, rules, rates and so on is 62 pages long. Trying to find the effective dates of this resolution for residential customers in that resolution, in that attachment, is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Now, please tell me, I'm not the only one who knows. These rates will apply to all SMUD residential customers. There isn't a good reason for SMUD to conceal or withhold this information, especially when you realize you are a public entity and you're working for your customer owners. I'm asking for particularly customers that are in single-family homes, customers that are in apartments, and customers that are in condominiums, whether they have a smart meter or an analog meter. This form, request to speak at a SMUD board meeting, says, and I quote, "Questions may be submitted in writing. A reply will be prepared and mailed to the question," end quote. Okay, I've put on this form the same question I have asked you. I'm going to give it your security guard, and I will appreciate a substantive response, not one that says, "We don't know," or "We're thinking about it," or "We've already answered." On April 30th and May 1st and May 9th and May 16th, I wrote to Jenna Lesh in customer service and asked her this question. No response from any of those. Today, I wrote to each of the board members and copied Ms. Lesh and Mr. Orchard, and finally, Ms. Lesh wrote back to me. Well, that's what it took, apparently, but unfortunately, what she said was, "We provided the information to you in an email on April 12th. I went back and I looked at the email that I received from SMUD on April 12th, and that was not an answer to this question, and SMUD did not provide the information. The email on April 12th was simply an incomplete response to my Public Records Act request from April 2nd, and I had not asked what is the effective date during that Public Record Act request, nor did SMUD provide it. So, once again, it's time, and the SMUD customers need to know. SMUD has spent over $300 million getting to the point where you could implement time of use rates, so-called time of day rates, and now that you're about to do it, the least you can do is tell the customers when it's going to happen. When are we going to be subject to these things or have whatever options we have? Thank you.
I just have a question about the rates. I mean, I remember getting a report. I mean, we've spoken to like 300 organizations about the rate increase, talked about the dates. It's on our website, rates for 2018-19. It's all pretty publicly available, correct? Through our community outreach and on our website.
Yes, if you'd like. Ferris is here if you want a couple of specifics.
I mean, it's on
maybe general notes. It's all on the website, yes.
Okay.
The effective dates are not on the website.
Well, we'll just check on that. I see it here, but okay.
I'll tell you what, let's put this off till the next meeting, and maybe we can have an update on the community outreach efforts. I don't want to put Ferris on the spot to do this by rote right now, so let's give him some time, and next meeting, maybe we can have a quick update on the state of the community outreach that we have done already, what we're planning to do, and we'll kind of try to wrap that up. Does that work?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Windheim, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, President and board members. Before I get started, is this working? Because I couldn't hear the speakers when I was sitting back there. So please boost the volume on that. My name is Eric Windheim. My company is Windheim EMF Solutions. I'm a certified building biologist, a certified electromagnetic radiation specialist. And when people hurt, when they go to their house and feel better when they leave, they call me. I take measurements and I provide solutions. Whitney Lehman called me, and I think it's quite well documented. She has a $10 million claim in against SMUD. The predominant electromagnetic pollution is the magnetic fields coming off the power lines. That's quite well documented. But I want to compliment SMUD on doing something during the last week, because for some reason, the magnetic fields on 20th Street between C and I Street went down 75%. They went down from 6 milligauss to 1.5 milligauss, and they stayed there for a week, and then they went right back up. Okay, so this is proof positive that SMUD has control, to reduce the hazardous levels of magnetic fields and still deliver electricity to everybody on 20th Street. I hope that SMUD can continue this. There's a couple other important things that need to occur. On point 2 of my letter at the bottom of the first page, the letter that the SMUD safety team issued to Whitney says magnetic fields occur throughout nature. Well, they do, but they're only direct current magnetic fields. SMUD alternating magnetic fields are not part of nature. Yet all these people that are on the SMUD safety committee, many engineers, they made no comment. So that leads me to believe, did they fail to retain what they learned in school? Is this technical incompetence? Is this factual deception? Is the SMUD safety team underestimating the intelligence of Whitney Lehman, who's a PhD and an environmental engineer? So I think it's a violation of SMUD board policy SD12 ethics and SD5 customer relations. I'd like to make a Public Records Act request for the, quote, clear guidelines of ethical standards and conduct that are required. Okay, then furthermore in that letter, it says that the SMUD relies upon scientific uncertainty and can't set any levels of safety. So I want to see the documents the SMUD relies upon. We're not going to have time to go over all this, but the biggest thing was when your man, Larry Pierce, who represents himself as a industrial hygienist, said, we're all in this together, me, my wife, and my child. And that means that his levels on his bed are as high or higher than Whitney Lehman's. And the odds of that are 100 to 1 against him. So it's very simple. He can take measurements with your SMUD meter.
Mr. Windheim, your time is up.
Yeah, okay, we'll continue. Sure hope you get the sound fixed. I'll ask for the cart people to come back in.
Actually, Mr. Windheim, that's my fault because I neglected to tell Ms. Lehman, as I should have, please do not move the microphone or get too close to it because it's designed to pick up your voice at a distance. And I believe she might have been a little too close. So I apologize for that to Ms. Lehman. And next time I will remember to read that part of my script and make sure that people know how to use the microphone. Thank you very much. Are there any directors who would like to report on travel, training, or other SMUD activity? Director Sharoma.
All right, thank you. Yes, in late April, I had an opportunity to attend the California Women Lead Annual Women's Conference. And it's an opportunity. There were about 500 women there. And there were speakers from the public sector, the private sector. There were governor appointees speaking, not myself, but other governor appointees speaking, sharing their experience and the journey for them to get appointed. There were women on boards, corporate boards, also sharing their experience. And then there were various seminars on leadership, on implicit bias, and how to communicate with the media. And all in all, it was just a very meaningful and wonderful experience networking with, say, 500 other women. So thank you very much.
Anybody else? Director Bowie-Thompson?
Sure. This is a kind of a late delivery on one of the activities, but we received a great award that I brought back home, and that was my fault. It's taken me a while to bring it back to SMUD. I slept it in my carry-on. But I wanted to talk about the award. It was from Smart Energy Decisions Innovation Awards. It's a fairly new organization from what I understand, but every year they receive submissions for various programs, and we won this great award here for our solar shares redesign for commercial customers. And so it was chosen as one of their top decision innovation awards in their enabling customer offsite renewable energy category. So the judges were impressed with SMUD's proactive approach to seek community solar designation in a net zero landscape. So what we did is we redesigned kind of the large commercial solar shares community program and expanded access to our customers. I think we've talked about this many times before, but our great New Kings Arena participates in our solar shares program, and Department of General Services, State of California. It's a great in-demand program, and so we were happy to receive acknowledgement for that award. So I wanted to bring that back to our great SMUD team who worked so hard on that. So I appreciate all the hard work and effort. And that's the one little tidbit that I wanted to provide.
Thank you. Director Tamayo.
Thank you, President Fishman. One thing that I went to that I was pretty excited about once I had participated was the College Intern Showcase event, and it was a poster session basically that interns had right here in this room to display and talk about the projects that they had worked on, and there were clearly some really sharp students that have participated in our intern program. I'm hoping that we're successful in snagging a number of them when they graduate, because they're clearly really hard workers and really thought a lot about what they were doing, and they certainly learned a lot. A couple of other events I wanted to touch on is, and I won't say much about this one, but I did go to the Sacramento Tree Foundation's Made in the Shade event, where it talked about our the foundation's and SMUD's involvement in benefiting our urban forest. And I have a feeling that Director Fishman will have more to say about it, but it was definitely very informational and inspiring. And the Urban Wood Recycling grand opening, and that's a facility from the Tree Foundation when they're cutting down big old trees that have reached the end of their life, or maybe they've even fallen down. They mill out these giant slabs of wood, and it's a great way to, instead of just releasing that as carbon back into the atmosphere, extending the life or the usefulness of the wood that's created those. And it's some pretty impressive pieces of wood. So I encourage people to go. It's in the Army Depot. Thank you.
Thank you. Gosh, I've got a lot here. So let me just briefly expand on the Made in the Shade debut. It was a documentary movie about 45 minutes long, produced by a local team, and it really does detail the history of the relationship between SMUD and the Sacramento Tree Foundation. If you're a longtime Sacramentan, great history, some great old faces. They may not really like me to describe them that way, but some people that I covered as a journalist 30 years ago, and are now talking about that history. And again, it just really showcases our involvement with trees, the benefits they bring to our community, and the partnership we have with the Sacramento Tree Foundation. So it was a lot of fun to go see that movie. I was able to speak for a few minutes at the SMUD Employee Recognition Gala last week, and there aren't too many places that have employees that have been here for 35 and 40 years anymore. So it's really special to see those people, some of them still working, and then obviously a bunch of people that have retired or are going to soon. And the longevity of some of those employees here at SMUD it just really drives home that this really can be a great place to work, and people appreciate it. They appreciate the job they get to do for our community, and it was just a lot of fun to be there and help celebrate not only the long-term employees, but we also celebrated the 5-year employees. So we have this constant turnover, but it's great to see SMUD celebrating our employees in that way. And then finally, I was also able to go and accept an award on behalf of our employees who went to Puerto Rico. This was given to us by the American Society for Public Administration, And, you don't necessarily think of public administration and line workers, but they saw fit to give us their President's Award for the effort involved in sending our crews to help out after the devastation of Hurricane Maria. Puerto Rico was 6 months into no power for many people when our crews showed up, and we've all seen the video. If you haven't seen it, it's available online. The people were so appreciative, so happy to get their power back on. And it was just really great to be at this event because Frankie was there, Arlen was there, I was there, some of the other executives and leadership, but we also had about a dozen or so of the line workers who were in Puerto Rico and spent a month or more there doing that work. And one of my comments was, I think they were more comfortable at the top of a pole in the rain, in the dark, either here or in Puerto Rico than they were in that room that night having dinner. But it was really a nice event, and they got a standing ovation from 180 some public administrators for the work they do and they did. And that's really the spear point, right, for us. That's where the rubber meets the road, and we're just so proud to have been able to send them there, to have that assistance rendered to people who've been without power for so long. And it was just a really nice event. So the best thing about being on the SMUD board is getting to do stuff like that and help recognize our employees and the work they do on a daily basis, whether it's here at home or far away. So it was just awesome. And we do have a general manager's report, and Frankie McDermott is in for Arlen today.
Thank you, President Fishman, and I promise we didn't save all the awards for tonight, but the train keeps going as through my speech here. So SMUD recently received 3 additional awards that I'd like to share with the board. Laura will help me bring those up there while we're going through. Our focus on employee engagement was recognized by DecisionWise as a 2018 Employee Engagement Award winner. DecisionWise is the company that administers our employee engagement survey. SMUD is one of 5 companies that received the award based on a review of more than 6.3 million survey responses to DecisionWise's surveys. Companies with the most fully engaged and key contributor employees were eligible to win the award. Secondly, last month, SMUD's Rancho Seco PV solar project was honored by the Sacramento Environmental Commission for demonstrating outstanding environmental leadership. The nearly 11 megawatt solar plant at Rancho Seco provides about 85 to 90% of power to the Golden One Center and also to state office buildings downtown. That'll be in a moment, Laura. So our SHINE applications are open. Applications for our SHINE program will remain open through June 25th. SHINE is SMUD's community development program designed to improve and revitalize neighborhoods across the Sacramento region. SHINE awards will range from $5,000 to $100,000. Any nonprofit organization in our service territory is eligible to apply. Interested organizations can learn more about the SHINE program and apply at smud.org. So tonight we have a board video. Requires a longer introduction than usual. The Northern California Business Advisory Council, of which SMUD is a member, was formed in 2015 to raise awareness of the skills, dedication, and retention rates of people with disabilities within the workforce. With support from BAC and partner agencies, we've hired 8 employees through our disability recruitment program. They work in several departments across the organization. Steve Rudder, the facilitator of BAC, is with us tonight. Steve, would you please stand and be recognized? BAC recently honored our disability hiring program with the plaque that you're seeing going around. Steve and his team at UC Davis produced videos about the employees we've hired with BAC support. So this one's a little special for me as well because it's in my group, but there are other employees also. Tonight's video tells the story of Jackie Armstrong, an office specialist in SMUD's Generation Management Group. Jackie was unable to be here tonight, but I'd like to introduce her supervisor, Lori Moore. Back there, Lori. Along with Philip Leong, the coordinator of our disability recruitment program. So without further ado, let's watch the video.
At SMUD, Diversity and inclusion is very important to us. In fact, it's one of our core values. So diversity and inclusion is something that we look to do every single day. And so we want to bring in the best and make sure we have an environment that it can be their best.
The first introduction to Jackie I had was on paper. She had sent a bio about who she was, what her disability was, and the best way to work with her. And so she came into our office and she sat down at the desk and she had a job coach with her. And we kind of just started giving her information. We did introductions, and it was a fairly smooth introduction. It was kind of the soft introduction on paper first, and then she came in with her coach, and it just seemed like a very easy fit.
I scan for power generation, and I scan papers into electronic documents into EDM, as well as doing quality assurance to make sure that things that are scanned, have been scanned before me, look all right.
At first we were having people quality check her work. She does a fabulous job, so that hasn't happened in a while. Now she's checking our work. We're having her do quality check on some documents that have been scanned in the past. My team, they want to work with Jackie, and they realize the value she adds, because there's a lot of that documentation that we need to get into electronic format. So, learning to work with Jackie in a way that she will follow instruction, they're on board, and it's not difficult. It's like, write out a procedure, tell us what needs to be done, and she'll do it.
SMUD has been life-changing, absolutely life-changing. Everybody, friends, family, support staff at my apartment have noticed a huge growth within me in terms of how I see myself, how I view the world around me. I've become a lot more positive in how I see the world around me. And I just light up when I talk about what I do, and I can't wait for people to ask me, oh, what do you do for work? Oh, I work at SMUD. I love saying that. And I just love the coworkers I have. I feel like they're like a second family almost, because they've all just collectively taken me under their wing, and then eventually I just started looking forward to coming to work, which didn't happen in the past, where I would just wake up and be like, I'm going to work today.
So if you start looking at your business and you start looking at your practices and you start looking at those tasks that they need to be done but nobody can get to them, there's an opportunity there for somebody to step in and give it a shot. I mean, Jackie came in and we were cautious at first. We were having the job coach work with her. We were, checking her work, and she just blossomed.
I think that my presence breaks the mold of maybe preconceived stereotypes that maybe people have had about people that have disabilities. So I kind of take that, and they see me, the person, instead of all the things that I might or might not have been diagnosed with as a child. They see me, Jackie the scanner.
And that concludes my report, but that was pretty cool.
You're not supposed to make board members cry. Thank you. Having completed our agenda and seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned.